So I started looking at expanding on my gaming console range in terms of what I already have in my collection, what I've already reviewed, and consoles I haven't even touched or even reviewed yet in my life. So for example, we have this Xbox One S here. I've never had an Xbox One S, but every time I go to my friend's house, every time I go to my brother's house, I always notice an Xbox One S still there. And why is that? Why haven't they upgraded to the Xbox Series X or Series S, for example? So let's talk about that in today's video. So the first thought that I had about the Xbox One S is it's such a great media device in general. I think people still use it for in terms of just streaming services. It's low cost. It also has a disc drive. So with the Xbox Series S, they took out the disc drive completely. It is a digital only console and it only relies on the Game Pass. And that's its biggest weakness, because when you only have a digital only console, that's the cheaper option. It's great, but you don't own any of the games unless you actually buy them. You have to rely on that subscription service and always have to repay the subscription every single month without owning any of the games. As soon as that subscription service is done, you don't own any of those games anymore. So with the Xbox Series S, you still have the Game Pass available. You don't have a lot of the latest generation of some of the exclusives, but in terms of Xbox, a lot of the exclusives for the latest generation, they're not reviewed very highly. The only thing that you're missing out on are the latest Forza, for example. Those are good games, but stuff like Starfield, for example, the latest Halo was a bit of a disappointment, for example, as well. A lot of the latest gen games, they're not as exciting as a lot of the previous gen games, to be honest with you. A lot of the older Assassin's Creed was just incredible. Black Flag is going to run good on this console, for example. AC Origins, AC Odyssey, I still play these games the most. A lot of these games are $12, $8, and you can pick up Red Dead Redemption 2. People have said it doesn't run that well on this console, but if you get the Xbox One X, it's a little bit more powerful. And this was the first console to run 4K. It was playing 4K before the PlayStation 4 Pro. So it just shows how powerful the Xbox One X is, as well as the S. It's a massive advantage to have that disc drive for such a cheap price. And I just find it's actually better maybe to get this than the Xbox Series S, because with the Xbox Series S, you get a lot of the latest gen games, whereas this is more affordable. It's $150 pre-owned. Has a disc drive to be able to run all the media you love. A lot of your previous gen games that are still great and you'll still pick up and absolutely enjoy to this day. And they released even newer cross-compatible games on the last gen as well, with the PlayStation 4 era, such as Hogwarts Legacy, for example. So you might be able to find some of those newer games still on the Game Pass that you could play on the Xbox One S or X and still have a great time. I'm just thinking about those in a non-biased point of view. A lot of people say this console is a little bit slower, but it's not really a disadvantage because of the cost. It doesn't cost much and it will still play a lot of your previous gen games. I guess the main disadvantage of that previous gen is the load times, the noise. With the PlayStation 4 was quite loud. With this console, it's not too bad. It runs quite smoothly. When I've watched movies at my friend's house, we always use this console. We've always played games with this console pretty low in terms of capabilities of the actual console. It's been fine. I haven't heard too much fan noise. It's got the Game Pass, so you've even got those previous gen games that you know and love. You got all your media apps such as Netflix. I still find for the cost of it, it's pretty affordable, and there's so much stock available and out there. It seems quite the advantage to getting it as one of those things just to have there. I feel as a media device, it's just such a great idea to actually get one. I don't know, no one buys DVD players anymore. I don't find Blu-ray players or DVD players to be such a thing anymore. People just mainly use these consoles now as the main DVD players or Blu-ray players now. And in terms of physical media as well, you could resell these things, but more the physical games. People are still buying those physical games, especially like this era. Like the games are super cheap and super affordable in terms of actually buying them physically and owning them physically as well. It's super affordable, really, really affordable to get these games. And it's a huge library. And in fact, like I found it's a little bit better than the latest generation in terms of games as well. Nothing's gonna be the Red Dead Redemption Ark Survival, for example, as well. Like that's a really good game. The Assassin's Creed series during this era was absolutely goated. Even like the Call of Duty games, like World War II was really good. Vanguard, for example, as well. Like I'm just thinking on the top of my head, even the Halo games were quite great. You still got Forza 4. The only thing you're missing out on with like the later generation of the Xbox Series S and X is like you get those upgrades so they do play these games in like 4K, for example, or 120 FPS. So this console is mainly going to be like 60 FPS, 1080p. You do get the 4K games as well, but for what you get with this actual console, I don't think you're missing out on that much. I don't think you're going to miss out. And if you're just using like a normal monitor, 4K monitor, maybe you will be able to tell a big difference. I don't know. I don't think you're going to tell that much of a difference with a lot of monitors. Just using this cheap monitor, no one complains about it. And to be honest, it will work perfectly fine on that monitor. So it's just a great idea. Yeah, I think like a lot of my friends also don't want to upgrade because of the cost of the latest generation of consoles. I even asked my friend myself, why are you sticking with the Xbox One S rather than upgrading? And I think it's because like the latest generation of consoles, they're still $600, $800, $900 for a brand new console here in Australia. I don't know, like back when I was younger, it was $400 max for a gaming console. Like that was unheard of for a price of a console. Like going back to PlayStation 3 era, when it was $600 for the PlayStation 3 brand new, that was too expensive and not a lot of people bought that, and they went more to the Xbox 360. So that's where I'm sort of coming from, is like, why would I upgrade when I already have everything I need with this console? And it's just too expensive to be able to upgrade, and I lose that disc drive with the Xbox Series S. And with the Series X, it is good, but it's very, very expensive, and I don't want to spend that money on that when I could spend it on rent and food and all this other stuff. So think about it like that, then really the Xbox Series X is not a necessity. It's really not a necessity. Put it into that perspective, I think the Xbox Series S just fine for a lot of people, and they will still enjoy this console and still be able to play a lot of games that they've always had on this console and still enjoy it, because the games on this console were incredible, and there's a huge variety of games. You might not get the latest FIFA, you might not get the latest gen games, but you got a lot of older games that are just still awesome on this console. So that's my genuine thought on the Xbox One era and why it's still good in 2025. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.